what I would say is I will repeat something that one of my elders said to us. It was a group of us.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that if you're not living for your ancestors, kind of to right the wrongs that were done to them, to clean the insults that were thrown on them, to perpetuate what they were living for, to attain what they couldn't attain, that they were after. If you're not living for your ancestors and you're not living for your descendants, to make sure that you doing things to put them in a better place, to make sure you're doing things to allow them, even in our current situation, to live further away from the enslavement that we were born into.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not living for your ancestors or your descendants, what are you living for?
Mm.
And I always remember those words that elder said, because it's true. And then you compare that to life being made this small for us, where it's just like you only live once, don't have children because, they're just going to get in the way. The idea of life that we live over here,
mm-hmm.
really, for our ancestors, that it's not life.
Mm-hmm.
Because the human life is what, at most 100 years?
Mm-hmm.
At least in the West.
In the West.
100 years.
It's getting less and less.
And then that's if we extremely lucky.
Right.
We in Chicago, it's maybe 18 years, 20 years, 21 years. And then we're going to use that just on ourselves, what we can feel, what we can be happy with. And we see that what feels good to us today don't feel good to us tomorrow. What makes us happy today don't make us happy tomorrow. And that's what this whole life that we have is supposed to be about. Mm-hmm. So I would just tell people, because I know, what makes us comfortable and what makes us scared is based on what we're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
What you're unfamiliar with, you're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you call it fear or something else, whether your pride want to call it something else, no problem. Mm-hmm. But that's really what makes us scared. But if you consider that, you have to use this life either benefiting those that came before you or benefiting those that came after you.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, if you're going to bring them benefit, you're going to have to face those fears. If you're going to bring pride to your ancestors or make sure that your children can live with dignity, you're going to have to go into unfamiliar territory.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you go into unfamiliar territory, if you don't think beyond yourself, then really the way our ancestors see it, the way our ancestral culture sees it, it's just like it's a waste of your life.
Mm.
Nowadays, when we talk about facing fears, that's what I mean. It's like for reaching colonial goals and making money. But that's just a very small part of life. Mm-hmm. That's not the life that even continues. Even if you check the tax laws and things like that, you'll see how much of that life even you get to pass your children. They take a lot of that. They take a large percentage of whatever you use your life to get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better you use your life to accumulate things they can't take, and they can't take from your children when you pass them down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would just kind of offer your viewers to think about and to really I don't want to say haunt them with, but I hope they don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know myself, growing up in the United States, learning that my ancestors were enslaved, even when I was young, I worked with my grandmother to trace back, and I could even see when we became hash marks on the census cards, and when it was just people that were enslaved, you can't read their name anymore on the census cards.
Mm-hmm.
And when you in a place like that, you're born into a situation like that, you have to start to consider, how can I dignify them? How can I use this life to change that? I don't just want to continue on the road that set me on. How can I use this life to turn that around. So that's what I would just hope that your viewers think about. And no matter if, maybe whatever has them hesitating to look into their ancestral culture, to travel to their ancestral lands, let that reverberate in their mind and push them past those fears.